the scriptures say, come as you are to worship, right? And that's even in a song. Come as you are to worship. Now, if a person is new to the faith, they're going to come as they were, as they are in the world, right?
Absolutely.
And what they were worshiping in the world, whether that be sex or a football team or a certain type of lifestyle, right? They're going to probably mirror whatever culture they were living for in the world. But when they come to the church to worship our God for the first time, as Christians, we aren't to put them to shame. We're supposed to bring them in. So come as you are to worship.
This is the Men Refined podcast.
Hey, welcome to the Men Refined podcast.
Shalom.
How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
So what do you think about men dressing up like bumps sometimes?
Describe bumps.
I mean, sometimes we go to the supermarket to get some groceries or whatever, and you see grown men, sandals, probably their pajamas, and they're just buying groceries.
Yeah, I mean,
there's something to it. I mean, you're in a rush. You just got in the car. You need some milk. You go get it. Yeah. Okay. Fine. I can go for that.
Dude, but here's the thing. It's not very hard to get dressed.
Am I being judgmental here?
Yes, but you know what? It's not very hard to get dressed. Go put some clothes on. You see these people like, oh my, my life is so busy, everything and all that stuff. But you know what? It's not hard to get dressed. Put some clothes on. It takes a few minutes.
Yeah, I was just, online, and there's this website called createdebate.com. You type something in there and you're going to find certain debates from people about the same subject, right? Does the way you dress reflect your character?
Yes.
A guy, yeah, that's good. A guy named Protazoa, whatever that means, says clothing that you can simply throw on can be clues towards who you are. For instance, you may be someone who does not care about how you are perceived, which could be due to a polarized self-esteem, too low to think it matters or high enough to think you do not need to. On the other hand, it could be that you were in a rush, which could be due to an inability to plan or an excessively filled schedule.
Well, yeah, a lot of people have the inability to organize thoughts or organize their life within their mind. And so their whole life is in this constant state of chaos. And I think their dress and their attire, how they keep themselves, reflects that. Reflects that, yeah. And so it's, first and foremost, as Christians, how do we view those people? Or I shouldn't say those people. How do we view people that look a bit disheveled, right? And say, wow, you must have be going through something tough, or you must be having a hard time keeping track of your life. Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of moms with young children who are managing a lot in the household that they don't necessarily think of themselves because they're too busy getting the kids out the door, lunch is made, and then they have to get, kids to daycare or school. And you see moms at the kiss and go in their pajamas. I would say give that a pass, right?
And I have also witnessed women with small children who present themselves very well.
Dressed to the nines, right?
And they have the same struggles.
That's true.
The same struggles. They have the kids, they have their husbands, they cook, they clean, they got their house ready. And when they go out for whatever, like they dress. I'm not talking about dress up. Like
they're put together.
Like your shiny dress, but you know what?
They're presentable to the world.
Yeah, the hair looks like you did something to it, not like you just woke up.
Yeah, I think it's a discipline. It's a state of mind of self-care.
Managing your schedule, I think, is extremely important.
Yeah, and why are you, first and foremost, ask yourself, why are you so tired? Why are you so tired? What is it that is exhausting you? Or what are you spending the majority of your time on?
Right.
A lot of it's probably social.
Frugal things.
Frivolous things, right? That don't mean anything. Why are you doing that?
Yeah. Well,
invest your time into something that matters, right? And really what matters is you and how you present yourself. Because if you present yourself and you're put together, guess what? Your life is probably going to be put together as well. Have a routine.
And that is such a key point. I just finished reading the book Atomic Habits from James Clear. And, bottom line, there's a certain point in the book, he says, just do a 1% of something, or just do a 10-minute, just show up at the gym just for 5 minutes. And eventually you will start coming into the gym and your mind will be somewhere else, will be better, in a better place. Oh, I just show up to the gym. Let me just stretch. Okay, I'm out, right? So little by little, I think is where you put your mind into and your habits. Once you start doing something, everything else will follow. If I need to stretch for 30 minutes, obviously I need to get up way early than my normal time when I wake up. Through my back injury, I'm waking up way early because I need to stretch. So I need to allow myself that time to stretch before even getting into a cold shower, which I hate, but have become a need for my injured back because it's just a need at this point. So the habit that started just trying something different last year, it has become a need that I have to do in order to come out better in the other side.
Yeah, I think the point that you're making, that I'm hearing, is that when I was a child, I acted like a child. And when I became an adult, I put away my childish ways. And what are childish ways? It's doing what the flesh says is easy, right? It's saying, you know what? It's easier, it's faster. It's actually even more pleasurable to do something that is not good for me, right? And what I'm hearing that what you're doing is you're actually doing what is counterintuitive to what your flesh is saying.
Yeah.
And that's called discipline, right?
Yeah.
And so you're doing something that you know is good for you. It may not feel good to your flesh, but you know that it's ultimately good for you. And that's just being an adult.
Yeah, and again, how do we dress? And I'm not saying dress to impress, but dress to show yourself, in a straight manner. Sometimes you got men, and we tend to be here in America, in the West. We sometimes don't worry much about how we dress because we don't care what people say about how we dress, right?
But yet we do, because when someone criticizes it, we quickly have a rebuttal, a response to what they're saying to us.
Of course.
And we have an excuse of why we look like a slob or why we're doing things that are lazy. And it's just a way to pacify our lazy tendencies. I mean, we're just being sluggards, right? And we know what the Bible says about sluggards.
So what do you think is so important to dress in a way that defines somehow who we're trying to project?
Well, I think it's how do you want people to perceive you?
And how important is that?
Well, it could be very important to you, or it may not be important to you, and you just skate through this life doing the menial tasks in life just to get by.
Why would somebody decide, or what would somebody say, well, it's important to me how somebody sees me. Perhaps now this is why I dress this way.
Well, we see that in high school for sure, right? Because reputation is everything. And being associated with an identity is a big deal, right? Who are you associating with? What do you find cool? And really what you find cool is what do you find fashionable? And so that is what is the world telling you to admire, right? So you see this through a lot of music videos. You see the media telling you, hey, you know what? Live for you. Be as kid as long as you want, right? And it's okay. I see these these posts on Facebook where these grown people want to play like Duck, Duck, Goose and stuff. It's like, oh, that's embarrassing. Why do you want to be a little kid? You know, I mean, and it's stuff like that, right? It's like, why do you want to resort back to being a baby? Be a man.
And we're dressing up like quote unquote men or quote unquote well. Where does that really come from? That just reminds me of my younger self. I could not leave the house without my shirt inside my pants and with a belt on my pants. Like my dad will never. I could not leave the house with my shirt outside my pants, and he will drop me at school. And what's the first thing that I will do?
You pull it out.
Pull it out, right? Why?
I did the same thing, man.
Because it was just one of those things that is like, no, I'm a young kid. Everybody has their shirts out. Why would I do this? And, you know, I will fight with my dad, but at the end, you know, I will do what he says. Obviously, he was the authority in the house, and I was just a punk. So I will follow through. But as soon as he left me, I'm going to pull that out, right?
But as a child, you did what a child does, right?
But
now as an adult.
Now I'm like, wow, I thank God that my dad did that to me those years. Because right now, how many of us, we see men, young men, and the first thing that I think is like, where's their dad? In how they dress or how they behave, the first thing that I think is like, God, where's their dad?
Where's that authority? And you know what? It really is a father issue, right? Mothers, God bless them. They are the glue to the household. But if a father is missing from that household, that child is going to be wandering.
Yeah, we're living in a fatherless society lately.
You bring a really important kind of point of view as far as your dad instructed you on how to dress. As a child, you didn't like that, but as an adult, you appreciated that.
Absolutely, 100%.
Right? So, you know, I think we can see how we dress, but then also how we actually take care of our bodies.
Oh, man.
Right? So, you know, in my household, we struggle with what we feed our kids. I grew up in a very health conscious household. I hated it growing up. My wife, she grew up where you can eat whatever. You know, Wonder Bread, you know, peanut butter, whatever. All the great things that kids love to eat. And she feeds that to our kids. And I came off as very judgmental and criticizing her when I said, you're feeding kids poor food. This is not good for them. And she saw me as saying, you're feeding our kids poor people food. And the fact of the matter is, it costs less money, right? It tastes really good, right? But it does nothing for your body nutritionally.
And it's easy to consume.
It's easy to consume, right?
Because you don't have to work that hard to prep.
Right. But what happens? Your body gets used to that, and then you start. Then all of a sudden, when you're an adult, you're trying to rectify what your parents did to your body growing up. But the fact of the matter is, to your point, as parents, as fathers, we have to train our kids what is good to eat, what is good to consume, right? So that's what are you putting in your body, in your mind, right? What is good to consume, but also how do we present ourselves to the world?
Yeah, right? and I think it's important that you say that, because here's the thing, and many Christians will obviously come back to this answer. It's like, who cares how I dress? Like, I'm a Christian. God knows my heart, and it doesn't matter how I come to quote unquote worship or to church, or how do I come into the gathering of the saints, just hanging out with other Christians. But really what is important is what is in my heart, and God knows my heart. I mean, yes, right? Mm-hmm. I will say yes, but people sees the outside of you. So how you present yourself, it's a witness reflection of your love, endearing love for your God.
So the scriptures say, come as you are to worship, right? And that's even in a song. Come as you are to worship. Now, if a person is new to the faith, they're going to come as they were, as
Absolutely.
they are in the world, right?
Absolutely.
And what they were worshiping in the world, whether that be sex or a football team or a certain type of lifestyle, right? They're going to probably mirror whatever culture they were living for in the world. But when they come to the church to worship our God for the first time, as Christians, we aren't to put them to shame. We're supposed to bring them in. So come as you are to worship. And what did Jesus do? Who did he sup with? Who did he eat dinner with? Who did he gather with? He gathered with sinners.
Yeah.
And he went to them how they were.
Exactly.
Right? But how did they leave? How did they grow in Christ?
Yeah.
Did they stay the same?
No, you changed.
No, they changed.
Absolutely.
Right? So when you are a believer, a new believer, or even a maturing believer in Christ, you now reflect that, and you are no longer
Your old self.
Yeah, and you're
a new creation.
You're no longer wearing the fashion of the world, right, or the fashion of which your eyes were worshiping, right? Whether that be lascivious kind of culture, things happening, or even a football team, right?
How about those who come to church with their favorite football team jersey?
It's like, hey, listen, I get it, dude. You love the Broncos.
Whatever,
right?
Yeah.
But you know what? You're possibly saying, listen, I worship the Broncos, and I want you to know after the service, can you wrap it up, Pastor? Because I'm wearing this jersey because the game's on at 1.
Game is on. I need to run out of here. Wrap
it up, please. And no, I mean, you can see what the people worship, right? They wear it on their bodies.
Yeah.
And so as far as attire, like, can you wear clothing that is fashionable, but also that doesn't bring attention to a certain type of culture other than Christ, the Christ culture? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, obviously the way we dress communicates our personal style and our taste, but it also communicate respect and the things that we honor, right? If we have to be in front of a judge, obviously we're gonna go presentable in front of a judge, right? Very likely that's gonna happen. If we're going into a wedding, very likely that you're gonna dress as you going into a wedding.
Have you seen those pictures of the mother-in-law wearing the wedding dress to the wedding?
No.
Oh, dude, it's funny.
Why would that?
But no, that's inappropriate, right? So you wouldn't wear a wedding dress to a person's wedding. I mean, there's things that are appropriate to wear and there's things that are not, right? Wearing a wedding dress to your own wedding, granted that you're a woman, right? Don't be the man wearing the wedding dress to your wedding.
Yeah. Let me play this clip here that I think is important because I want to get to this point, and I think many of us as men, we just don't think that the way we dress reflects what we honor, what we want to do with our lives, how we want people to see us. Obviously, I think that's mainly how we dress sometimes. We want to be perceived as people that have it together somehow, that know what you're doing, right? As a man, you want to make sure you want to come across as somebody that at least knows how to put things together or yourself together. Yeah, and I think that's important as a man.
I think most importantly, right, the way you present yourself should not be a distraction to the Holy Spirit.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Should not be a distraction. There's so many types of distractions, right? If you got flies buzzing around you because you're stinky and your clothes haven't been washed, that's a distraction.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
If you have, if you're wearing 3 sizes too small and your breasts are popping out of your shirt, right? The guys at church aren't going to be able to hear the work of the Holy Spirit. Right?
If we are a little bit on the heavyweight side, don't wear clothes that do not fit you well.
And if you need help buying a new shirt, right?
Ask for help.
Ask for help, because you know what? I get it. Some people are out on their luck and they have to eat off the dollar menu at McDonald's, and so they get a little bit wide in the belly.
Yeah.
And their shirts that they had that they can't, they become like little boy shirts. I get it.
So you need to dress like Ronald McDonald.
You have to say, "Hey, Rafael, I need good food, but I also need a shirt. Can you help me out?"
Yeah, right. Let's see if we can hear this.
If you're going for a job interview, if you're at any critical point in your life, then you should dress the part, because you want to do everything you can to tip the scales not in your favor exactly, but in favor of having the right thing happen.
But isn't that true? Like,
So simple.
here's the thing. Dress the part. Dress for the part, right? And so the part is the appropriate attire for that, whatever you're doing, right? If you're going to, if you're going to go try out for a lifeguard position, you're not going to go in your football gear,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
You're going to go in, you're going to wear your swim trunks because you're probably going to be going in the water.
Yeah.
Right? Dress appropriately.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's like don't let people think like, "Oh, that's kind of odd."
So if you're here in the mountains, don't go shoveling shorts, dude.
But here's the thing, man, in Colorado,
Some people do.
That's the thing.
If you're manly enough, I guess you go out shovel in your shorts and sandals.
yeah,
If you're man
or
enough.
barefoot.
If you're man enough.
No, it was like -2 degrees last week. It was brutal.
It was brutal last week.
Sarah and I were driving down Highway 7, and we saw this dude, bigger dude, walking his dog in shorts. And like, that guy's legs must not get cold.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, wow. But Colorado does have this kind of reputation of people wearing beanies, their Patagonia puffy jackets,
Yeah.
shorts, and their sandals.
Yeah.
Right? They go from like totally cold on top to summer on the bottom.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's like the mullet of clothes.
Which is very weird here because I never seen that before. Obviously, you don't see that in the Northeast, right? The winter is different. It's a wet winter, really. Like you want to cover your feet. Here is nice and dry and it's warm. I think it's a warm, dry winter here, and this is the first time that I see people. I mean, in sandals with jeans, their puffy jackets covering their head. I mean, they're in sandals. I'm like, dude, aren't you cold? Like, seriously.
I think this goes back to like, the sandals were easier to put on.
Yeah, and it's a style, right?
I don't know if it's necessarily a style.
What do you think? Are they showing off themselves?
Some people should not wear sandals, man, because their feet are just nasty.
Okay, change the
Right?
subject. That's nasty.
No, but you know what? It goes back to, okay, you know what? It's being lazy. And what I tell my kids is, hey, listen, the thinking of it is always harder than the doing of it. Right?
Well, yeah.
Meaning like, stop thinking about it, just do it, just because it's not hard to get dressed.
So if you go and take a shower with cold water, if you open that water coming out, you see it. You're outside of your shower head. Don't think. If you think, you lose.
Dude, you just got to go in.
Yeah, you don't think.
You just got to go in.
Telling you, experience. Do not think. And when you open it, don't wait too much time between when you open that handle and you go under that shower head. I think you have to be within 10 seconds.
Don't think. Be a
If
man.
it goes over 10 seconds, you're not going in. Forget it, because you're already feeling that mist of that cold water. You're outside jumping. You don't want to get in, bro. Don't think.
As soon as you go get out of the shower, the cold shower, jumping, nothing's moving. Nothing's moving.
You know, but you come out like a new man.
You come out like a newborn baby.
Yeah, a new man. That new man needs a lot of stretching now
Oh my goodness.
in all your parts.
No, but I mean, here's the thing. I think you've got a really good point. I think
Do you think dressing up enhances your confidence as a man?
absolutely. I think when you put yourself together, right, and you make yourself presentable, and you're looking like quote unquote your best self, of course you're going to have confidence with that, and I think you're going to be able to tackle the day a little bit sharper. Because when you already put yourself in the mentality of like being tired, right? And I'm using the word tired, as opposed to lazy, because I think, they're interchangeable. but you're already setting yourself up for a lazy day. Get yourself ready for the day.
Can you elaborate? For me, it will be sometimes, when I'm sick, I rarely get sick, but when I'm sick, I'm sick. I just lay in my bed.
Get well.
2 days and I'm out. But
hurry up and get better.
I tell you this: if I stay in my bed for too long, I feel yucky. If I get up, I take a shower, and I dress up, dude, I feel so much better. I could be dying inside.
Yes.
But my mind feels much better.
Yeah.
I'm clearer.
Here's the thing: sleep is so good for you. But as soon as you wake up, get up.
Yeah.
Start your day. Wipe the sleep out of your eyes. Right. But take a shower. Get your clothes organized.
Cold shower.
Sure. Whatever. Float your boat. Right. But take a shower. Do your routine. Get in the Word, and start your day.
Yeah.
Start it. Right. And there's certain processes that you've got to do in the beginning of the day to ensure that you have a successful day. Right? Abraham Lincoln says, if you task me to cut down a tree for 8 hours and you give me 8 hours to do it, I'll spend 6 of those hours sharpening my axe. Right? Mm-hmm. Because if you don't sharpen your axe, if you don't sharpen your saw, you're going to be laboring in vain. Right? And just like if you get out of bed and you're in your pajamas all day long, guess what? You're going to get nothing done. You may get some stuff done, but it's really going to be frivolous. It's going to be nothing.
And I think as a man, you have to find out. You have to self-evaluate yourself. You need to have some sort of self-awareness about yourself. What works, what doesn't work, and trying to push yourself to certain limits, right? And set up. I'm not going to say goals, but set up certain habits so you can follow through on them, because man, it's so crazy how the habits that you add into your lifestyle can change you for better if you really put your mind into, and not just your mind, because you actually have to do them.
You have to put your body into it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, your mind. Okay, I'm gonna create this habit, but man, little by little, again, cold shower is like, oh my God, cold shower. It's gonna hurt. The first few days, it is going to hurt, but eventually, guess what? You're not going to want to think about it. You want to open that shower head and you just want to get in. Now, you have developed that habit. So like that, I think is everything. Make your bed in the morning. That's a habit. For me, it's something in my mind. I'm trying to be as organized as I can, as much as I can. I don't like things too disorganized. It messes with my brain, like literally. If I go in my room, whatever, if the bed is not made, like the first thing that I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna make my bed. I'm just gonna make my bed, because when I go into the room, I want to see, wow, clear things, simple things, right? I don't want things disorganized. I want to see my baseboards. You go to some people's houses and they have stuff all over. You can rarely see baseboards anymore. I mean, it's like organization. And for some people, they just think it's too much work sometimes. And reality is that they just don't want to they don't want to take the first step on just do what it needs to be done. They're thinking too much on, oh my God, I have to tackle this. Oh my God, I just came from this trip and my bag, all these clothes is still in my bag. Why am I going to take it out? I mean, I'm going on a trip 3 months from now, so they just can stay there. There's people like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at it's the obsession with pleasure and the aversion to pain, right? The obsession of pleasure and the aversion to pain, right? So because what you're saying is, and what I'm taking from what you're saying is, especially with the cold showers, is if you want to change your life, do something that is going to shock you out of it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Do one different thing.
Yeah.
Right. If you want to change, if you feel like you're in a rut and you're at church, don't sit in the same spot at church. Go sit somewhere else. Right. Break it up. right? Something simple like that. If you want to change your life, right, and you see that your clothes, let's say you're in a depression, you're in a hard spot, you don't need to go totally off the handle and spend your life savings on a new wardrobe, but getting yourself put together resets yourself and allows you to think more clearly. It's kind of like a detox, right? But the fact of the matter is, I think most people are so exhausted with the decisions that they've made in their life and they're so addicted to the pleasure that they seek, whether that be food or the idea of something, like for example, like the idea of getting a puppy. The idea is always really great. The actual living in it is exhausting, right? The idea of having a camper. Oh, if we just buy this camper,
so nice.
It's going to inspire us to be outside more.
Sure.
No, how about this? How about you just be outside more, right? Doing whatever. And if you ended up liking camping, why don't you rent a camper? You see these people. I mean, these are these impulse decisions that people make. You know what? If I buy a boat, it'll get my family closer together. Actually, how about you just be close with your family? You don't have to have a material thing. And this is the allure of materialism. So, which can be on a negative when putting yourself together, right? There's people that are too focused on the material things, right? Like the Pharisees, and they start dressing really, really nice, right? Well, it's distracting, and it takes the focus off of Christ. Everything that we do should always be centered around Christ and not be distracting to the purpose, the message, right? The mission of Jesus Christ, right? So should you dress above and beyond with your purple suit and shiny shoes and have your hair slicked at church? I don't know, maybe.
Depending what kind of church you're going to.
It depends on if you're, how Baptist you guys are. Right?
That's right.
But again, you go to another church and they're very modest in their dress, and they may even seem a little poor, right? With very beige clothes, and they've got the drop ceiling. But you know what? How do we honor Christ in everything that we do, right? The purpose is, don't be distracting.
Right. You don't want to create distractions.
So you can be distracting by
towards yourself. Yeah.
You can be distracting by looking like a sluggard, or you can be distracting by looking like a showboat.
Yeah.
Right?
Too shiny.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, first and foremost, be a man. Don't be lazy. Don't be a little baby. No woman likes a baby. Come on, no woman wants to be married to a baby. And actually, I should say, no good woman wants to be married to a baby. Be a man.
Yeah.
Right? Put yourself together. Get your house in order.
So what does that mean? Does that mean, like, man, if you need to spend some extra time trying to figure out your wardrobe and figure out what you're going to wear tomorrow morning when you wake up, after you take a shower, it doesn't mean that you're going to go to work in sweatpants and a t-shirt and a hoodie and tennis. How about you put probably some jeans, get some sort of a t-shirt, like change a little bit the way you're dressed, and you see how your head sometimes will change too, the way you see yourself, because we can get in that circle, like, okay, I'm always dressing with my sweatsuits and my t-shirt and my hoodie and my tennis, and I'm going like this everywhere. Like this is
uniform,
my thing,
dude. That's your uniform.
Okay,
get a uniform. Get a uniform. Right?
I get it. But making those little changes helps our mental state too. I'm not saying it's wrong for you to always wear sport clothes like this. I'm not saying, that's not what I'm saying. But when that's all you wear, well, it may or may not, but the way I'm seeing it is, like, sometimes we need to carry ourselves, depending on obviously where we're going, right? Who comes to our home. I think it's important. You don't want to welcome people like in your pajamas. I think that's disgusting, because that doesn't show that
it doesn't show respect
that you care for those who are coming into your home. Just as if we invite people to our home, we're gonna clean, we're gonna We're going to put things out.
It's saying, I care enough about you to bring you to my home when it's in the best shape
absolutely,
possible.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great example of a tactic that guys can use is can be modeled after my grandfather, my late grandfather. And he was the CEO of one of the largest design firms in the country out of Chicago. But my grandfather was very simple in his mind. He didn't want to focus too much on his appearance. Obviously, he wanted to look good. He had his haircut the same haircut ever since he was born, parted to the side. He shaved every day. But when he went to Mervyn's to buy his clothes, and this guy is a CEO of a multi-million dollar company, right? And he shopped at Mervyn's, super frugal. He would go and he had his typical purple polo shirt. But when he went to the store, went to Mervyn's, he grabbed 5 of them of the same one, right? And he went to the manager and said, if I bought 5 of these, will you give me 15% off? Mm-hmm. Right? Then he would buy the same kind of khakis, but then he would get his yellow shirts, right? And he had specific shirts and he bought multiple because when that purple one wore out, he had another one already in stock in his closet. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. And then he used the old one as a rag to wash his car. So you don't have to be, you don't have to labor on being a fashion guru or whatever. You don't need to be a GQ guy. I mean, obviously if you want to look like, open up a GQ and see what's in fashion and,
which is nothing wrong. Right.
And that's fine. But you know what? You don't have to go over the top, but just make sure that you're prepared, that you have clothes to wear. And again, you can go shop at Walmart.
Absolutely.
But when you shop at Walmart, don't wear your pajamas. Don't wear your pajamas.
Yeah, don't go to Walmart to buy things with your pajamas.
Yeah, don't go to Walmart wearing your dinosaur slippers. And
your Crocs.
Have a little self-respect. It's like, I don't want to know what you look like when you sleep.
Right.
All right. I don't need to be that familiar with you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, we were staying at a hotel in Texas, the whole family, and there's people at the hotel and they had continental breakfast, and people would show up to the continental breakfast like they just woke up. Mm-hmm. I'm like, listen, this is not your home. I know you slept here.
I'm going to tell you this. You only see that in America.
Oh my goodness.
Everywhere, if you have traveled the world, anywhere you go, in any other hotel, anywhere in another country, morning breakfast in any hotel, everybody gets up and they're already dressed for the day. Only in America, you see people coming out of their hotel rooms looking like they haven't even brushed their teeth. It is horrible, man.
Like, I don't want to be that familiar with your life. Sorry, I don't. I don't want to know what you look like when you first wake up.
Listen, in conclusion, I think dressing well as a man, I think is important because I think it shows that you as a man are confident on where you are and you can somehow bring some stability to those around you. I think that that's something that you project as a man if you dress well. And when I mean dress well, I don't mean spending a ton of money in your clothing. I just mean dress well in a standard fashion. Like cover your body.
Like you respect yourself.
Cover your body, I think. You're not on the beach. I mean, if you are, fine. But cover your body. I think that's important. As a man, just as women, cover your body. Cover your body. What do you think? Do you cover your body?
I have to, or else a lot of people be screaming and running away. I don't want to repel people. But also, really, I don't want a lot of women to blush and want to leave their man because they see me not covering my body.
That's what happened. We need to respect those who are around us, right? And we need to dress appropriate. Thank you so much for listening to the Men Refined podcast. If this provides you any value whatsoever, just share it with somebody else. Rate this episode. If you are in Spotify or Google Podcasts, just make sure you rate this and share it with somebody else. Thank you again.
It's my pleasure.
What will be one thing that you will say to a man who hasn't dressed in a week?
Who hasn't dressed in a week?
Yes.
Grow up. Be a man.
I like that.